Hey guys, so today we are working on a Bravo 3 lower, and what we're going to be doing today is pulling Propshaft seals and resealing the lower unit. This lower unit has a lot of water on it. We'll show you in a little bit on the drain seals, and this drive has about 900 to 1,000 hours on it. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about the tools, what we do when it comes to our shop, and what you can do, because we also have a rentable toolkit for these. So let me start with getting the carrier off. Now, for the carrier, we have part number 91-805-374-1. Now this is left-hand thread. That means you got to act like you're tightening this to be able to loosen it on this. So I have already broken it free. If you have it on the boat, you can do this on the boat, but the drives must be all the way down so that the twisting force will be against the correct part of the transom. So for this, we are going to start just loosening it up. Now I have not taken the carrier out before, so what you guys see will be at the same time I see it. Okay, so it looks like our carrier is ready to come out. This one's weird because normally it shouldn't come. Here you go. It looks like potentially seal fly out. There is water inside this, so we do have a bad seal on our carrier. Now the next thing I recommend is that if you have this on the boat, once we remove this, trim the, there's a nut in here that is also left-hand thread. We're going to break that free. You're going to need two special tools for it. So, our next special tool is our retaining ring remover for our bearing. So this is left-hand thread as well. So you're going to put this in here, wiggle the shafts around, and then it's going to set into place. And then what we're going to do on this one is we're going to scoot this drive out a little more. This drive has a couple things it's going to need. There you go. And we are going to get this off. Now this should not require any heat on this nut because this nut is always surrounded in oil. Doesn't mean it won't be difficult. There we go. Got it. Now, once you've broken it free, we want to tip our drive so that the shafts are up. So if you have it attached to your boat, tilt the stern drive up at this point. Okay, so we have the shafts pointing up. There's a very specific reason to do this. If you don't want to do it this way, that's fine, but this makes it incredibly easy for us to maintain our shimming and anything else we may need. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull the nut, get it free, if we can. There you go. And this tool, now that I see it, is 91-805-382. And the secondary tool, which is the tool you also need, is 805-734. Those two tools are what come together to get this thing off and done. Now, if you have this, this is exactly how I recommend you guys get this out. Now, there's a lot of threads on this, so it'll take you a while. But once you have this out, as far as it'll go, once you've spun enough, okay, feels like it went over a thread. You're going to grab the inner shaft and pull, and the entirety is going to come up. The inner shaft, the outer shaft, the tool, and the retaining nut will come out as one complete assembly. Be careful in here not to get any debris inside the case while we're working on everything else. Okay, so how this came out is like this. We had this here, like this. We had the retainer on like this, and the tool was sitting on it like so. So when I pull this out, it's like this. So now I take the tool off, set it down. Take the retaining nut, left-hand thread, set it down. We're going to want to remove, well actually what we can do right here is grab the outer shaft right here. And then what you're going to do is press on the inner shaft down. Sometimes what you can do is get your retainer off. You can grab a nut on these. I have a nice, decently soft table, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bounce it like that because there's so much debris it won't pass the seal. Now we have our two shafts and our bearing, our thrust bearing, which goes on the inner shaft right here, like so. So what we're going to look for, what I like to do, so I'm going to look at our seal right here, which is very dirty. And then I'm also going to take a look at our inner shaft for any grooves or wear marks. So first, we're going to look at our inner shaft. And there is so much, there's a whole line worth of black crud here. And it looks like we have a lot of seal movement. I don't know if you can see that. So take a look here. We can see along this area where the shiny marks are that the seal has been moving. And you see this black ridge. This is all debris built up against the seal. So we need to clean the debris. What I will do is I'll take a wire wheel to this area right here to clean all the debris off. Either wire wheel or emery cloth. Either one will do as long as you do not mar or scratch the shaft enough to cause damage. So I use a brass wire wheel, something that will not damage. So I'll be right back. I'm going to clean this off and we're going to look even deeper to see if there's an actual groove on this shaft. Now when I do that, I'll remove our thrust bearing. Now you can decide to keep or to not keep these thrust bearings. Inspect them. If they are tapered or have any kind of weird markings on them, replace them. They're cheap. Especially cheap in comparison to the two shafts crashing into each other. So let me go clean this off. The other thing I'm going to do while I'm at the wire wheel is check our outer shaft. So let's look at our outer shaft, if it'll zoom. So we're looking at our shaft right here, and you see a lot of debris right at this area right here. If we have a split shaft, which can happen on outer shafts, it will hide itself in the debris on this end right here. And it always splits right along the edge right here and will come down and go into the threads sideways. Almost always, if you're holding it like I am, it's going towards me like this. So it'll come down and go sideways into the threads. Usually that's from improper torquing of the prop shaft. So here what we'll do is we'll clean this all off. We will clean the other shaft all off, and then we'll get to replacing our prop shaft seals. So we have cleaned our shafts off, and this one we have no nicks or burrs on this shaft. It's not, there are grooves, but there's no nicks or burrs. That's what I'm looking for. Any vertical lines on this shaft going front to back, the shaft is done. You can't use it. If we have a groove, there is a ton of seal depth for us to be able to move on this shaft. Now there is a special tool that Mercury does sell to preset the depth. We have another tool to set the depth slightly further that we actually made ourselves. Now if you don't have any grooves, great, you can use the factory. But if you do have a groove, you will need to play with it. Same thing on the carrier. The carrier did have water in it, so my guess is more than likely the seal that failed was the carrier seal. It's not always the seal to fail. Most of the times I see the seal between the shafts fail. But we also have room to play on this one. Now looking at our outer shaft right here, I can't grip anything with my fingernail. It's shiny in the area where the seal saver or the plastic ring to prevent intrusion, and the two seal marks, you can see it but you can't feel it. So as far as we're concerned here, we're only going to be pressing in a seal standard depth in our carrier. Now looking at our carrier, there are some cases where a carrier requires complete replacement, and if you get a carrier, it comes with a seal and it comes with a bearing already in it, as well as an O-ring on the carrier. Now, what we're determining here on this, is there pitting on this surface right here? Is there pitting on this surface right here? There can be pitting on this. This is not attached. This is the outer surface. So there are two different kinds of carriers. There is an aluminum housing and a 316 stainless housing. If you're in the ocean, I recommend 316. But this is an ocean drive. It does have the aluminum one. This has about 900 hours. It did get repowered in 2020. So this is, 5 years worth of decay, and it's pretty clean. Now, he also has a diver that keeps up on the anodes, and so it will eat the anodes before it eats this. We're seeing no issues, so we are going to start disassembling our different seals. Okay, so here we have our retainer in a vise upside down. The tool we are going to be using is 862064A1. That is our needle bearing and seal driver for our carrier. Now what we have is we have two half pieces with a lip. Now on this lip, this is going to go this way. So the lip is going to be behind the seal. So what I will do on this carrier is I'll pull it out and I'll put this lip just like that. Then we're going to have the other one just like so. And then there is a driver that we're going to put in from the back towards the front to grip our removal tool. You want to make sure you don't want to tighten the vise down. You have crosses here in here where the exhaust will come through. Make sure that the part that's on the vise is the strongest part where the cross is. Now a lot of the times these are very hard seals to get out because they put in red Loctite. Now what you can do is you can take a torch and heat the housing up to help release the red Loctite. So we're going to do that now. Okay, we've gotten the heat done. Set this down because we're going to be slamming the crap out of this. If I can find my hammer. Find a heavy hammer. Recommending sledges. It's not coming out. I need a heavier hammer. Man, she's not coming out. I need even a heavier hammer. Let me see. I'm going to take this and press it. Okay, so we got our old seal out. Driver tool's ready to go back on the shelf. That's the last time you'll need this driver tool for one single Bravo. If you need to do multiple, you will need it for every carrier that you're doing. Now on to the second one, or the outer shaft seal right here. There's a toolkit that we have to do this. We're not going to tell you what part number it is, because if you want to do this, you'll have to get it from us. Now, this tool came out a while ago, but it's mainly used on Zeus pods. It's not really used on anything else. So this actually is recommended for use on these stern drives, but most people don't even know this tool exists, therefore causing problems when people try to remove it. The first thing you got to do is you got to take a prop nut and you got to thread it onto the threads around flush. Second thing you got to do, the collars on this tool are exactly the same as the first collars that we were dealing with just a moment ago. So this tool, the tool that we have, is a long threaded rod with the same kind of keepers as well as a shaft centering device. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this bar. Well, first we're going to put the collets in. So collet 1, just like the other shaft, put it in. Collet 2. I know you can't see it, but it's really difficult to even show what I'm doing. Now we're going to insert this tool. It goes on in through the center, and we're going to put a shaft centering device. So when you're done, it's going to look like that, and then this on the end with a device to punch it. Now, get this in so you're not touching the shaft, but you're touching the nut. Because if you're hitting the shaft, you're going to damage the shaft as you try to pull it out. But the nut's job, and this is a sacrificial nut, is to prevent damage to the threads and prevent damage to the end of the shaft as you're pounding. So the threads are going to take some of the heat, but the brass is going to give before the stainless does. So now I'm going to pound on it, and this thing should come out. There we go, seals out. Just like that. And this seal was totally flattened. So on the next part, we'll show how to install your seals. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching part 1. We'll go over part 2 very soon.